All right, are we live? We are live. Okay. What's up, guys? Tonight on the DeSantis Show, we will be reliving the 3-year anniversary of quote-unquote George Floyd. I have quite a bit to say on that front. Also, Target loses, I believe now, $9 billion in the span of a single week as a result of their Pride Month debacle. And we got to say one last thing about the, Ron DeSantis announcement last night. And so we'll do that as well. All right, that's tonight on the DeSantis Show. Stay tuned, everyone. And we are live tonight from the great state of Florida. Welcome, everyone, to the DeSantis Show. I'm your host, DeSantis. As usual, you know the drill by now. I feel like I should stop saying the same thing every night we open, but be sure to leave a like on the show. And as usual, we do this every night of the week at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Yes, Vince, we know. Okay, I'm like a mom. I'm like a mom nagging at this point. Like the stream, tune in, blah, blah, blah. You guys know the drill, okay? You guys know the drill. But we are currently at 11 likes. Well, clearly I gotta be a mom then, okay? Leave a like on the stream, chat. Everyone leave like a stream. Let's get the stream to 50 likes. And as usual, if you want to support the show tonight, feel free to do so via the super chats. I'll be checking these super chats regularly throughout the night. And, that's the usual deal. Now, while we wait for people to pour in here, let me know how your day has been going right now in the live chat, because I care. I want to know, okay? So let's see. Eddie Rio says, can I have some positive news, please? Well, don't worry. Everything I say has a positive resolution. When does it not? They call me Positive Dow. I'm one of the most positive people, potentially, to ever be positive, okay? So this is so true. George Floyd been sober for 3 years, someone in chat says. I mean, this is objectively true. Just saying, this is objectively true. Jonathan Fields says, hello, Vince. What's up, man? All right. Just wanted to give a few seconds for people to pile in. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the show tonight. Again, 3 main stories tonight. First of all, we have to relive the anniversary of George Floyd. Appropriately, I have titled this the George Floyd Anniversary stream. Also, we got to talk about Target, and I got to address the DeSantis crowd, okay? One last time, and then we'll probably not talk about it for a few weeks here. But there is sort of one more little thing I have to say, because some people on Twitter have not been happy, okay? They're seething at your boy for saying that the announcement last night was just not the greatest thing to ever happen ever, okay? This is the deal. And they say I'm such a Trump cultist because I criticize and praise both candidates where I see fit. But, the moment you say anything about DeSantis, suddenly it's, Vince Dow never criticizes Trump, which is objectively, historically false. But anyways, we'll talk about that in a second. But anyways, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, let me check the time. Oh, it's the hour of Dow. Let's get into the show tonight. By the way, I did not write a script tonight. If you wonder why I seem more off-the-cuff natural, I am so tired of writing out the show. Like, it's like the biggest drag process ever. And so I just decided tonight, in the spirit of Bill O'Reilly, we'll do it live. Okay, F it, we'll do it live. So with that said, again, you want to super chat the show, feel free to, and I appreciate the support. And let's get into the show tonight. All right. Well, today, May 25th, I believe, is the 3-year anniversary of the death of George Floyd. The single event that you could argue of anything, more than anything else, brought down Western civilization. Now, ironically, interestingly, I looked at left-wing Twitter and whatnot today, and you notice that the other side is barely even talking about him anymore. Why? Because they actually, in reality, are trying to memory hole the entire situation. They do not want you to remember the fact that our entire country was burnt down over a lie. They do not want you to remember the fact that very mainstream politicians and pundits made excuses for blatant insurrection and revolution in our streets. And I don't even mean that in the sense that most people mean that, right? I mean that in this sense. So with that said, let us briefly remember that. And let us briefly first off remember that the entire incident itself was based on a lie. Right? The idea, that George Floyd was some type of innocent, kind human being that got brutally murdered by a police officer. First of all, he was a drugged up, violent sociopath who, you know, we kind of know the criminal history there. He put a gun to a pregnant woman's stomach. And at the time of his quote unquote killing, quote unquote, by Derek Chauvin, that police officer, the guy had copious, deadly amounts of fentanyl in his system. And, you know, we very often seem to forget this because the second autopsy, you know, we remember what that may have said. And hold on, let me mute this audio here. So we may remember, by the way, chat, that the second autopsy said that the family requested, right? Let's remember that it was a private autopsy that the family requested under immense political pressure after people were already killing each other and burning stuff over this incident, then concluded that it was the knee that killed George Floyd. But if we will remember this week, 2020, the very first autopsy that actually came out on George Floyd concluded that he died of a fentanyl overdose. Why? Because again, the guy again was a drugged up degenerate who had copious amounts of fentanyl in his system. And so frankly, I don't know one way or the other, or it could be both, but to this day, it is still a legitimately open question of whether or not George Floyd was actually killed by that police officer in any way, right? But, you know, without having that question answered at all whatsoever, or us ever actually knowing, we know justice was never going to be served in this case. You could argue it was the death of the justice system in this country because you kind of saw Derek Chauvin never had a chance in that trial. So anyways, with that said, honestly, the incident itself, fairly minor in comparison to the effects that the rest of it had on the country. And this is where I really want to refresh everyone's memories. Forget it. You think that, you know, the cop went too far or not, whatever. What I really want to remind everyone, again, is of the fact, and I actually have it pulled up here, I made a thread on Twitter, is of the fact that left-wing terrorists for an entire summer and fall of 2020 burnt this country to the ground, beat people in the streets, attacked police officers, killed people, and, you know, barely any of us ever seem to remember or talk about this. Like I said, it has been memory hold for a reason. And so I want to go through this thread I put out today on Twitter. So I said this, I said, since it is the George Floyd anniversary, it is worth remembering the extensive domestic terrorism that was excused in the name of defending the honor of a violent, drugged up scumbag, which again, that is exactly what George Floyd was. But here we go. Here's a thread of a few highlights from what I deemed George Floyd's summer. Okay. So I'm just going to play these videos on the stream so that way, hold on, I need to crop this. I'm going to play these videos on the stream so that way they cannot be memory hold. They cannot be forgotten to history. All right. But at first I have to crop this properly. Okay. Sorry to keep you waiting. Complicated business. Complicated. All right, here we go. So this was Portland, Oregon. Here. So, you know, we seem to forget that any of this ever happened. It's not talked about. It's often forgotten. All you've heard the past 2 years is January 6th. But the sights and sounds here. So you see Antifa. Again, there are federal police officers on the other side, okay? So what was happening here, for people who have totally forgotten about the Summer of Love, this is Antifa trying to literally burn down a courthouse and murder all the law enforcement on the other side. So they're throwing fireworks, they're starting fires on the other side, throwing stuff, right? Trying to smoke them out. Literally using like ancient tactics of warfare. Again, this is what has just been completely forgotten in history. Here you go. So check this out. Portland, Oregon. This is not a peaceful protest. Here is video of the Antifa throwing fireworks. Okay, and I know that the left-wing cope for a whole summer was, oh, that's just fireworks. That's just fireworks. You can kill people with fireworks. If you throw a firework right at a person, you're gonna kill them. And here was, again, this was completely normal in this country. People totally forget that. Summer of 2020, nobody was batting an eye. It was just like, whatever. This was, again, mostly peaceful protests, right? According to the media. Here was video, since we seem to have all forgotten, of Antifa in Portland throwing fireworks at police officers, trying to kill them. Trying to kill them. Okay? Mostly peaceful protests, remember that?
Where'd that fire come from?
So again, people say, no, they're just setting off fireworks for performance purposes. Whatever nonsense cope, because, you know, they're not accountable for anything. Okay, I think it's pretty obvious, chat. There are police officers standing on the other side here. They're lobbing fireworks over the fence. Who are they trying to hit? What are they throwing fireworks at? There's a fire right next to where they're standing. But all the type of excuses. Remember all that we heard that summer? Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, there was one police officer, I believe, who got injured as a result of that. So again, these were deemed mostly peaceful protests. These were deemed justified by very mainstream figures in the country because, injustice or something.
Fighting a war. Check this out.
There's a vintage clip of me. I just wanted to throw it in. But, you know, you want to talk about insurrection. I will say, in fairness, I did not see this on January 6th. Here is Antifa actually employing like Roman military tactics, okay? These are neoclassical military tactics here being used against the Portland police. Watch this. This is like watching a Roman legion. They're charging. Look at this. I'm not joking. Look at that. Look at that. Peaceful protesters, by the way.
Yeah, so, you know, this is how
they were good kids.
Rome defeated Carthage in, in the Punic Wars. This is how Sparta and Greece defeated the Persians. Look at these now they're charging. They're charging with their shields.
Someone says, is this old footage? Yeah, we're again, I'm replaying this so that we can remember what is being memory hold. Because I think perspective should not be lost that this was mainstreamed in the country. Because we look at this now and think, wow, it was really that crazy? Yes, it was really that crazy. And this is arguably one of the many pieces of the puzzle that, you know, got Joe Biden elected, we will say, okay? And so this is what they did. As one of the things to upend, you know, the sitting president, the greatest president of our lifetime, they basically overthrew him via violent revolution, arguably, in like a metaphorical sense, you know?
At the enemy, very interesting. Okay, so in my opinion, this really will go down as, I would say, some of the great charges in military history. Okay, you talk about a lot of different, you know, counteroffensives and offensives. I definitely think this has to go down as well. Okay, now check this out. These highly peaceful protesters are lighting.
So there's them directly trying to. Okay, so just so people say, oh no, they're just having some peaceful fun here. Okay, so you saw in the previous video, the police retreated into the courthouse, right? And now what are they trying to do? They're trying to light the courthouse on fire. Okay, they're literally trying to burn police officers to death. Again, I did not see this on January 6th. I did not see anything close to this. And this is just what's completely memory hold, okay? And this is what, again, the media referred to as mostly peaceful protests. Mostly peaceful protests, aka Antifa, literally trying to burn down a building with police officers inside. Like, that's not an exaggeration. That's not you're making it up. That's not fake news. Again, we saw. They just retreated. Everyone saw it into the building. building, and now what are they trying to do to the building? Light it on fire.
These highly peaceful protesters are lighting,
and this is supposedly all okay because a black guy overdosed on fentanyl.
Have been trying to light a federal courthouse on fire for the past month and a half. So as you can see, clearly peaceful intentions. That's a peaceful fire they're starting right there. So yeah, as you guys can see, just highly peaceful protests going on right now. All right.
See, the police officers here are lucky that the Antifa are so incompetent, because.
So yeah, as you guys can see, just highly peaceful protests. All right. Very, very peaceful.
Oh my goodness.
Peaceful water bottles being littered on the ground, so they're peacefully littering right there.
This is environmentalism, man. Don't you know?
Now, as you can see, he's peacefully trying to kick down the door of the federal courthouse right there. Peacefully dumping lighter fluid on an umbrella.
Okay, yeah, they're gonna try
and peacefully lighting a fire in the wall, right? And of course,
they started a fire that time.
Righteous media refers to these people as peaceful protesters. Okay.
This is our fucking city.
Go. Now, as you can see, taking your order. All right, so now they're using more modern military war tactics. Okay.
See, I would say, I mean, look at this site right here. I would say, wow, this is like your average American city in 2020. But one could argue it's still like this. I mean, is Chicago? I'm sure this doesn't happen in downtown Portland every night anymore. But Chicago, it's probably still like this. So I don't know if that's really stretching much. I think, you guys are not shocked by that site. But anyways, we got through some more here. This was in LA. Again, so just to show it's not just one city. This was a national thing. I mean, it was LA. I'm not going to play this copyrighted. Okay, but then let's go on to here, because this is another thing that gets memory hold. Let's talk about Kyle Rittenhouse for a second. Okay, because this is another part of the Summer of Love. So, we are often told, oh, Kyle Rittenhouse was just a provocateur who was showing up to cause problems with peaceful protesters. No, he was specifically called by local businesses and came to defend those local businesses, because this is what happened days before. Okay, so here is, the peaceful protesting future doctors and engineers of society, right? The future doctors and engineers of society, burning down an entire parking lot full of people, full of cars. Because why? I don't know. I guess they're doing their engineering project, right? Because we know they're all going to go on to be engineers. They're good kids, don't you know?
I don't want to get too close, guys. I'm not trying to get... Well, I don't want the car to explode.
Thanks for the super chats, by the way, guys. I'll check them out in a second. So, just burning down a whole... Was that a car dealership, I think? And by the way, let me say about this site, and this is the reason why I said the same thing during the Daniel Penny incident, but notice how the cops are nowhere to be found. You mean to tell me that an entire crowd of people approached a car dealership and just somehow accidentally lit it all on fire and the cops didn't know? You mean to tell me you don't think there were any 911 calls made that night? Hey, they're trying to burn down this whole car dealership worth of cars. And what did they do? Absolutely nothing, right? And so that's another component of this that I think is still true today and should not be forgotten, is the fact that cops will not protect you in this country, right? Ideally, they should. I'm not in favor of anarchy. I'm not in favor of any sort of lack of law and order, right? But remember what we saw in 2020, and we still see today. Look at the Daniel Penny thing. Look at the Jordan Neely thing, right? Where the cops don't actually protect you, right? You're getting attacked on a New York subway by a crazy homeless guy. Well, sucks to be you, right? But you saw this especially in 2020 as well. There's no reason why cops shouldn't have showed up to respond to this incident. They're burning down an entire car dealership worth of people. But why? Because the cops work for the regime, right? The cops are agents of the mob ultimately, if the mob is kind of the entity in control of the government. And so, it's another symptom of anarcho-tyranny, frankly, that you really can't rely on the police in this country to protect you. And that's why I know some people weren't happy the other week when I said it, but that's why I don't quote unquote back the blue. That's why I really, in good conscience, cannot fly a thin blue line unless I'm trying to get out of speeding tickets, because F them, honestly, in that context, in that regard. But, you know, that's why, you know, in like speaking seriously here, why I cannot fly a thin blue line flag, because are the police really on my side? Are the police really on the side of patriots? Really? Because they'll go and arrest, you know, Daniel Penny. They'll go and arrest Kyle Rittenhouse, but they will sit around and do absolutely nothing about this, about the very mob that was chasing Kyle Rittenhouse, that shouldn't have been there in the first place. None of those people should have been there in the first place. But what did the police in this country do? Absolutely nothing. But then, you know, suddenly, when we defend ourselves, when we as right-wingers, just normal patriots say, well, I'm going to take justice. I'm going to try to defend myself or defend other people or like be a good person, be a hero. What do they say? They're going to say, we're going to arrest you, right? So you could argue in many ways, right? Black Lives Matter has won, because not only did they weaken the police department in the places where we need it, but also to a large extent, they control the police department, okay? Because they're not the ones who are going to get arrested. And I want to know genuinely, I'm sure there were some arrests made, but how many of these people ended up getting arrested? And if so, what are their prison sentences? I guarantee you they're probably lax. They probably all got slaps on the wrist, misdemeanors. I guarantee you none of them are serving the type of sentences that the January 6 people are serving. So, you know, really, just saying, okay? This video right here, prime example of why I really don't support the police in this country as an institution. Cops individually, sure, fine. I know a lot of them are cool, whatever. But how am I in good conscience, again, other than to get out of speeding tickets? That's like literally the only reason I would own one of those flags, because the system is so broken that, you know what, I'm going to manipulate them too, because screw them, right? How can you as a conservative really say, yo, we back the blue, we love law enforcement? Yeah, I would love law enforcement if they enforced the law instead of stopped enforcing the, you know, socially written rules of the BLM terrorists. How about that? How about if you police officers want the support of conservatives in the future? I won't say, you know, the police officers, not their fault. But how about police chiefs? How about to the higher ups of the leadership in these departments? If you want the political support of conservatives and of Republicans, how about you effing stand up and actually like protect us? How about that? Because I don't see you protecting and serving anywhere. I see you actually just letting the mob attack people. But then when we defend ourselves, then suddenly it's like, we gotta arrest you. You broke the law. So, you know, it pisses me off. And it pisses me off that also people don't get it. And they get mad at me when I say, no, I don't back the blue. Screw the blue. Seriously. How can you watch a video like this? Yes, you're infuriated at the left. We understand. They're the primary drivers. But how can you watch something like this and not also be infuriated at the police for standing around and doing nothing? Oh, but it's the politicians. Oh, but it's not in the individual police officer's control. Fine. I agree. But who do the police officers serve? Ultimately, they don't ultimately serve you. They serve the politicians and the people in power. And so if they are not going to stand up and, you know, actually say, you know, screw your orders, we're going to do what's right. If they're not going to do that, then of what use are they? They're useless. There's no point in having the police, right? Because you know what? You want to tell me about how, oh, secretly, Mr. Police Officer, I'm a patriot. I don't agree with any of this. Okay, well, if you or your police union or whatever are not willing to stand up and do what's right, then how are you really in the end that different from, you know, the institution you serve, right? It's like saying if you're at war with a foreign country, just hypothetically, you're at war with a foreign country. Oh, it's not the individual soldier's fault. It's about the politicians. I mean, sure, but who's the person shooting at you on the other side? Right? What are you going to say? Oh, please do arrest me and shoot at me because, you know, it's okay. I understand you're just following orders. It's ridiculous. At some point, it's not an excuse, right? It's not an excuse. So sure, if you need to feed your family, whatever, I get it. But don't expect my political support because you're serving evil. That's just how it is. That's the way I see it. You know?
Community of food, water, medicine, sundries, masks, gloves, anything under the...
Like, again, you can use the excuse, oh, they're just following orders. Fine, but if they're just following orders and the orders are evil, why do they deserve my political support? Why am I obligated as a conservative to say, I back the blue, we love our police officers? Oh, you mean you love the police officers who will sit around and do nothing and then but throw you in jail if you defend yourself? Yeah, screw those police officers. You're not my friends. You're not on my side. And why should I? It's like such slave mentality. It is slave mentality. Oh, the police officers, all they do is harass us. All they do is cause problems for us. They don't protect us. They don't actually protect and serve the law. They don't exert justice. They exert injustice. But we as conservatives, because we're conservatives, are still supposed to be patriotic and fly the thin blue line flag. Yeah, screw that. Yeah, screw that. You know? So, yeah, I don't back the blue. I know I'm going off, okay? But it's just true. It's true. What can I say? Anyways, let me pause to read super chats before I continue, because I know I got a lot to catch up on here, okay? But you know what? I think that rant was worth it. We all had to get it out. We had to get it out, right? Okay. Zachary for $2 says, work just had a public employee appreciation barbecue. Well, I hope you at least enjoyed the barbecue. Thank you for the $2. Zachary, dollar for $2 says, Robert Reich's tweets are so freaking hilarious. He's still around? I gotta check out his Twitter sometime. I haven't heard about him in years. But he seems to still think that, like, liberals are the party of being against the rich, when that's obviously not the case, which is funny. Andrew M for 220 Canadian says, what would you say to Christians supporting BLM? I'd say Marxism is inherently anti-Christ and anti-God. That's what I would say. Thank you for the $2, Andrew M. That's about all there is to say about it. Or, you know, I guess watch this and ask if what's happening here is very Christian. I don't know. Deutsch Chad for $10, thank you very much, says, keep up the good work. This country is showing how the majority really feels about wokeness through these boycotts. Wokeness is losing. Thank you for the $10, Deutsch Chad, and we'll get to that. We'll get to that later in the show. Don't worry. But thank you for the $10. Republican Thinker for Canadian 220 says 1505. Only the real ones know. Hey, listen, that was Rob DeSantis' fault. Okay, that was Rob DeSantis' fault. Okay, last few super chats here getting caught up. Nathaniel for $10 says, I live in a suburb of Portland. The commie coof shut down and dragged down businesses. The right. Okay, are we back? All right, I think we're back. I don't know what happened. OBS just like froze. It wasn't even the internet this time. The OBS just froze. I don't know what that was. I blame Rob DeSantis, okay? Every technical problem going forward is his fault. Ron, why are you doing this, okay? See, I really am a Trump cultist, okay? Because everything now bad that happens on the stream is Ron DeSantis' fault. He did it. Hey, I live in his state. Ron, get the internet working. Everything that happens bad is your fault. Don't you know? Don't you know? All right, anyways. All right, let's see. Where were we? I think I was reading Daniel's super chat. Daniel McQuaid for $27.99 Canadian says, yo, it's the George Floyd anniversary. Shout out to our future George Floyd conservatives that come 5 to 10 years from now. George Floyd was an Austrian economist guy just like us. Fentanyl is a human right. Thank you for the $27.99 Daniel McQuaid. And if you guys don't know the reference there, the idea of a George Floyd conservative is basically a spin on the way conservatives always seem to cave to everything. And so the joke there is like, in 10 years, conservatives are going to say, I'm the real George Floyd conservative, blah, blah, blah. So, but yeah, thank you for the $27.99 big donation there. And Jackson for $2 says, Rob DeSantis did $5.25. True. Every technical problem that happens from here on out, blaming him. Okay, anyways, let's continue here on our thread, though. Sorry, we had a long sidetracked rant because I was pissed at the police. But here. So, finishing up here was CHAZ. Do you guys remember CHAZ? Okay. If you don't remember, Seattle leftists tried to set up an independent communist country in the middle of Seattle. The city allowed it for weeks. It devolved into chaos. People were beaten and even killed, and that is true, by the way. People were killed inside of the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. But yeah, here was the little communist mini country they tried to set up in the middle of CHAZ.
For about 2 days. We receive donations from the community of food, water, medicine, sundries, masks, gloves, anything under the sun, really.
And it's free for folks?
It is free for anyone. If you want something and we have it, it is yours. You can take as much of something as you want, as much of something as you need. If we don't have something, we'll try to source it for you. We're just here to help out the community.
So not to sound like a 2014 economic debate, but it is unironically funny that they went out and said, everything is free. You know, it's truly John Lennon's Imagine. It's real communism. Imagine there's all the people living for today. And then they did that for like 2 days. And then if you'll remember, what ended up happening is it devolved into total chaos. People started like fighting each other. Eventually someone got killed, and then they had to go break up the whole thing. And so that was the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. I feel like, do we remember that, chat? Do we remember CHAZ? Chop? First it was called CHAZ, and then it was called Chop. But anyways, all right, we continue here. Portland Antifa not only tried to assassinate the mayor, but burned down an entire building, apartment building of innocent people alive. And yeah, that is true. They tried to burn down the mayor's apartment. There you go. Here's a Portland Antifa throwing an IED right at the cops. Do we need to enlarge that one more time? Hold on, I'll enlarge it. Again, you know, say what you will. I didn't see this on January 6th, and make of that what you will. And so I finished by saying there's far, far worse than this, and which is true. David Dorn, which I could not show on the stream because, you know, YouTube with like people dying or getting their head cracked open or whatever. David Dorn, rest in peace. That was the, I believe, St. Louis police officer who was trying to protect, former police officer, I should say, who was, you know, just out in the streets trying to protect his business or whatever, and they killed him. They burned the entire Minneapolis police precinct to the ground. We seem to forget that. The guy in Dallas who had his head cracked open. You know how it is. And then there's one more thing I wanted to show. Because we seemingly have forgotten. Where is it? Where's the mostly peaceful protest pictures? This is what I want to close with, okay? Just one last thing. There it is. Okay? And if you take nothing else from this segment of the fact that, again, this whole thing has been totally memory hold, do not let the memory hold this, okay? This image right here, all you need to know. Very classic. Kenosha, Wisconsin. Fiery but mostly peaceful protest after police shooting. As you can see on the back, that's definitely a peaceful protest going on there. So there it is. There's the George Floyd anniversary. Just, you know, don't let it get memory hold. We will move on to our next stories here. But, you know, I feel like I've said my piece on that front. We remember. At least now you can remember. At least now you recall that this is arguably one way in which Joe Biden was installed as president. Just saying. Okay. So anyways, let me see one more super chat here. Rob did 1505, but Bush did. Whoa! Whoa! Thank you for the 220 Canadian. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on YouTube, but, you know, it is an interesting question. You know, maybe hot take. I don't actually think Bush did blank. I actually think that he was like too stupid to be involved in it. I do think there's a cover up, but I don't know if it's George Bush. I feel like that's actually the cop out answer. I think there's more to it than that. But of course we're talking about, you know, ice cream or something, right? George Bush, they say that the ice cream in the workers' lounge went missing because of George Bush. And what they say is that, you know, room temperature air conditioning cannot melt ice cream. But, you know, I think that copping out and just saying George Bush ate the ice cream is a very shallow answer. I think there's actually more to the story there that than meets the eye in terms of who ate the ice cream. But of course, that's what we're talking about, right? Anyways, let's get the stream up to 100 likes. And Sheeny Beanie for $2 says it was probably Cheney. Hey, well, Dick Cheney is a little bit chubby, so it is plausible to say that he ate the ice cream or had something to do with the eating of the ice cream. So, you know. All right, anyways, thanks for the super chats, guys. Again, you want to donate to the podcast studio fund, which is almost, it's not done, but I may be able to show you guys very soon, okay? Because we almost have it ready to at least be presentable. So, again, you guys want to donate to that, all right? We have all the microphones now. We have some of it set up. Again, we're raising money this month for the podcast studio fund. But anyways, with that said, let's continue on here into our next story, which has to do with Target. All right, here we are, folks. All right, so are conservatives starting to kind of win in the culture war? Or is there at least some type of evidence that we are pushing back or making a dent? Because we understand, we're not going to restore Christ as King of America by, tomorrow evening, right? But we understand it is an incremental march. It is an incremental thing. And the other night we discussed the fact that Target was selling this, they had this big Pride collection that they were selling for kids. And we also showed that they were selling these like bikinis and swimsuits where you could tuck, quote unquote, aka if you're a man and you want to present as a woman, you can tuck away your junk. And they were even doing this for little kids, right? It's a big controversy. Obviously, we're all mad at Target. We don't like Target. But here we go. Some good news, folks. Some good news for you. Today, it was reported that Target, the company, lost $9 billion in 1 week. And, joking here, tells Bud Light to officially hold its beer. And listen, I said the other night I didn't think the boycott process would be easy, but maybe I was wrong. Maybe it was as easy as it seemed, because there you have it. Target lost $9 billion in 1 week from it. Now, I thought Matt Walsh made a very good point about this, which is that you may look at it and say, well, how are we going to beat woke capital with just a few effective boycotts? We can't boycott possibly every woke company out there, can we? But I thought Matt Walsh made a very good point about it, which was that you don't have to, right? He went out and tweeted something along the lines of, if you just boycott a few of these companies and really crash them, Bud Light is one, maybe Target is another, you don't need to boycott everything, right? You focus your resources on a few different companies, and the rest of the corporate world, because we know they look at each other, they observe each other. We have records of success and failure and whatnot. If just a few of these companies come crashing down from a conservative boycott, I think you really can effectively scare off maybe not all, right? But a lot of other companies from ever doing the woke stuff in the future. So that's number one. And I think that's the reason why this is grounds to be optimistic, because I know it may seem like a completely losing fight. How are you going to boycott every woke company? You can't. But again, if you just scare a few of them, the rest are going to be like, well, we don't want to be like Target, right? We don't want to be like Bud Light. And so that does make me optimistic that conservatives are starting to get good at this, and they're starting to get kind of serious about, I guess, pushing back in the culture war. But I will take it all one step further. I'm going to take it all one step further, because I think, frankly, and this might be a hot take, especially with our libertarian audience, but I think that we should also demand a political solution to the woke capital issue. And I'll tell you why. There's just something about the disconnect there. There's something inherently elitist to me, to a bunch of Republican politicians telling their people, hey, everyone go boycott Target. Absolutely, I agree. But at the same time, what policies are they passing to back it up? How are they really also saying, we're going to fight against woke capital? Why does the obligation to do that always have to fall on the average conservative, the average person? I don't think it should be that way, right? I do think there is a political solution to the issue of woke capital. And for a reason I'm about to bring up in a second, I think arguably there may have to be, okay? And so this is not me saying nationalize industry or do anything socialist or whatever, but I do think there are a few, and I'm about to lay out here, a few basic ways in which Republican politicians need to back us up in the woke capital fight. Number one is that Republican governors should not be inviting woke industry into their states, okay? Whatever's already there is already there. Whatever, I get it. Disney has been in Florida, but an example I think of is Hollywood in the state of Georgia, right? If you don't know this, Hollywood more so now is based out of Atlanta. You may hear that. The entertainment industry actually packed up and moved to Atlanta. And this is a big reason why the state is turning blue and why Atlanta's turning so blue, is because, you know, instead of them coming and, you know, maybe the thinking was, oh, we'll bring these industries into our state and make them conservative, right? Make them more red. And instead the opposite has happened. Instead, the liberal industry, right, comes into your state and turns it blue. Right? You see this in Atlanta, especially with Hollywood. You also see this in states like Arizona and Texas with the tech companies, right? Big tech, especially coming to places like Austin and Dallas. And you see what happens there, right? And so that's why I say, first and foremost, if Republican governors are going to back us up here, they should not be inviting these industries into their states. It was a big mistake for Georgia to invite Hollywood into their state. It's a big mistake for Arizona and Texas especially, to invite all this tech stuff. And I know what the counter argument there is going to be. Free market, whatever, but you can also de-incentivize certain things. It's not a big deal. We're not saying, you know, make their business illegal. We're just saying, look, let's be honest. When a company like, you know, I don't know, when the Hollywood industry moves to Atlanta, you don't think there's a discussion there between the local politicians and the companies? Of course there is, right? But I know what the counter argument's going to be. They're all going to say, but what about the jobs, Vince? Vince, don't you know they bring jobs into our states? This is why we need it. We need the jobs. We need the jobs. No, you don't. Right? I understand it's nice. I understand it's nice to have economic growth, but of what use is that economic growth going to be long term if our states are all overran and turned into California? You want to talk about the benefit? What is the benefit of, you know, long term turning us, all of our states, into blue states? Is that what you want? Right? How is that long term economically good for us, good for the states, good for the country to turn our bastions of power into blue places just because, quote unquote, it brings more jobs? I think that's a fundamentally failed way to look at that. I think that's outdated. Yes, bringing jobs into your state is nice, but should that be, you know, weighed with everything else, right? Everything else, okay? So that's just number one. That's just number one, is I don't think Republican governors should be inviting these industries into their states. Number two, we got to do something about ESG and DEI, right? You want to break down a big reason why these corporations are doing it. It's not, you know, to some degree. Yes, maybe some marketing execs are so stupid they think this is a good idea, but to a very large degree, a lot of the reasons why you're seeing in the past decade so many corporations suddenly turn political is because they're trying to raise that ESG score. And as we've talked about before on the show, they're trying to raise that DEI score, right? There's this new diversity index as well. And so that, you know, relates to favoritism from the government, favoritism from banks, investors, all that stuff, right? And, you know, I know we tried to do it previously and Biden vetoed it, but yes, we need to make all forms of ESG, DEI, any type of social credit score in terms of the woke or diversity illegal, right? Republicans need to do something about that, outlaw it. Number three, BlackRock. That's another big entity here that nobody very often talks about. That's another big reason why so many, you know, different companies are turning left wing, is because what BlackRock will do is they'll go and buy huge shares of companies, which, look at some corporations now and see how much BlackRock owns and then kind of make the comparison. Hey, maybe that's why they went woke, right? They'll just go and invest and buy big shares of companies and then use that leveraging power to turn the companies woke. And then it's like, hey, well, you're going to lose a bunch of money? Fine, don't worry. We're BlackRock. We'll bail you out. But here's this amount of money to turn woke and push our social agenda, right? And so how do you compete like that? How do you just do free markets like that? Because it will get to the point where stuff like ESG and BlackRock outweighs the loss of a conservative boycott. Does that make sense? And maybe right now we're kind of at the transition point where it's still okay and you can still crash a company. But if, again, Republicans do not enact a political solution to the problem of woke capital, the future is where conservatives can cry, boycott, 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 but ESG is going to bail them out, right? BlackRock is going to bail them out. And so there will be more money ultimately on that side of woke capital than our spending power to boycott as conservatives. And so that's why, again, there has to be a political solution. Republicans also have to step in and do something about the woke capital. And I don't want our success in private industry, individual grassroots boycott to distract from the fact that, again, this ultimately is going to be necessary. And then lastly, let me just throw this idea out there, okay? I think the first three probably we more so agree on. But as a fourth point, How about something like some of my friends have called this a woke tax, right? How about some degree of a tax penalty or something or whatever for, you know what, drop the idea of woke. How about just corporations who engage in political causes, right? We'll do some type of nonprofit thing where, you know, a company benefits just overall from staying out of politics, right? And if you engage in politics, you're going to get this certain tax exempt status revoked or whatever, similar to how we do with 501c3 corporations. I don't know. It's an idea. Last one, it's just an idea. I think the first three are much more pertinent, but yeah. Number one, again, I don't care how many jobs it brings, because this is a culture war, right? This is bigger than that. Do not invite woke industry into your state. Accept jobs. Yes, it's good. But Hollywood, especially Georgia, you should not be letting Hollywood into your state. That's a stupid idea. And then secondly, again, ESG, BlackRock, things like that. Okay, trust bust BlackRock, do whatever you need to do, but some degree of state power is going to be necessary to step up and stop this stuff. And before you cry to me, free market, Vince, free market. There's nothing free market about ESG. There's nothing free market about BlackRock owning all of our real estate, owning way more shares in all of America's major companies than, you know, we as individual stock buyers could ever fight back or boycott back, right? There's nothing free market about that. Rid yourself of those excuses. We need to save the country. And the only way we both save the country and restore a truly free market is, again, through that political solution. You need to use political power to solve this problem, okay? So, but yeah. I don't want that to distract from the fact, though, that we did do a good job in boycotting Target. But again, don't just boycott. Because there will be a point after that where boycotting, if we don't do anything about ESG, we don't stop BlackRock, it's going to be useless to boycott. Because BlackRock's going to put up more money and say, don't worry, you lost X amount of money because of the conservatives. Here's double that. You don't want that. So again, all right, there's Target, ladies and gentlemen. Let me check in on some super chats here. Dollar for $2 says, thoughts on Tom Petty. He's an OG Florida man. Well, thank you for the $2, dollar for dollar. God bless you. I mean, I do have to say, as a Florida Gator, you know, I do have to say we love Tom Petty. Okay, we are Tom Petty guys. Okay, all right. So there it is. Ban BlackRock. Yeah, exactly. Just ban it. Oh, but what about the free market? Okay, what's more important, the future of your country or some abstract economic principle? Conservatives are going to have to reckon with this question. Okay, and by the way, you know, as much as people think because of last night that I hate Ron DeSantis, you guys know the conversation that Ron DeSantis started with Disney, especially, one of the most important things that arguably has happened to the American right in modern politics, because he has set the precedent. Actually, you don't have to let woke capital run all over you. Actually, you can kind of step in and try to put up a fight against it. And so actually, we'll get to that story in a second here. All right. But again, guys, you want to super chat the show. After this story, we'll be going on to our Q&A portion. By the way, I think I like myself more without a script. Can we be honest? I don't know what you guys think. Okay? It just feels so much more natural. Again, this is like one of the few shows I've done where I just wrote a few notes down, but I've actually scripted nothing. The time, yeah, I talk for way longer because I just ramble. But I feel like the content's been good. I don't know what you guys think. I don't know, chat. What do we think of unscripted Vince? All right, anyways. Thanks for the super chats, guys. Let us continue here. All right. Well, before we close, I need to talk one more time about DeSantis' announcement last night and the fact that there are a lot of people who are not happy about me and the things I've said. And frankly, I think most people here on the YouTube community actually do get it. But, you know, mainly, we know how it usually goes. Mainly the crowd on Twitter. Hold on. Which one is it?
Hi.
Okay, here it is. Sorry. All right, sorry, the things were out of order there. Okay, as I was saying, we got to talk one more time about DeSantis' announcement last night and the fact that I fully understand there are people out there who are not happy with me because I was critical of what we saw. And, you know, frankly, most of those people are on Twitter, and we know how Twitter is with this stuff, so maybe I should not be taking it that seriously. But I do want to kind of clarify and explain my stance on Trump, on DeSantis, and on what we witnessed last night. and kind of the state of the discourse, because I understand me going out there and saying I didn't think that announcement was a good look, right? That's what I said. I just said I don't think it was the best thing for DeSantis. I understand a lot of people got mad. So let me say this to the DeSantis crowd that is not happy with the things I have said this week. To be clear, I am a political commentator. And as a political commentator, first and foremost, not an operative of the Trump campaign or the DeSantis campaign, I try my best to analyze this primary as objectively as possible, okay? And by objective, I don't mean that I don't insert my opinion. I just mean I try to, be fair and consistent about the things that I say, which means as a political commentator, I will praise both and criticize both Trump and DeSantis where I see fit, okay? And the thing I've heard so much in the past 48 hours is, you only criticize DeSantis. This is what the DeSantis crowd always says, because they cannot, the Twitter shills, they cannot conceptualize the idea of having things to say about both candidates. They constantly say, you're just a Trump cultist. You never criticize Trump, this and that. And it's like, again, just totally ignorant of reality, not familiar. You go back and look at my first few videos of the year. One of my first videos this year is me ripping into Donald Trump for endorsing Kevin McCarthy. I have another video saying I didn't like, the stuff he said at the start of the year on Truth Social. In fact, even if we want to walk the record back all the way back to when he was president, okay? When he was president, I was a much younger, Gen Z influencer than I am now. But still, as president, we're talking about BLM right now. I was one of the people. Tucker Carlson was another. There were people in the right-wing space, but it was very far and few between. I was one of the only people stepping up and vocally criticizing Donald Trump for not doing enough about the Black Lives Matter riots, right? That one thing everyone likes to play hindsight backseat driver. See, Donald Trump didn't do enough. Well, ironically, I noticed this to be the case. Very often, these same influencers who now call me a Trump cultist and all this stuff and say, blah, blah, blah. They were the ones who were hardcore Trump cultists back in 2020 and refused to accept criticisms of the guy, and then suddenly now turn around and say, by criticizing Ron DeSantis in completely fair and, objective and unbiased ways, you're a Trump cultist. It is just absolutely bad faith. It's just devoid of reality. If you go back and check the record, I'm probably more critical of Donald Trump than some of the people who accuse me of being bad faith on this, okay? But again, the reality of the situation is I do support Trump over DeSantis for certain reasons, and I try as a political commentator, again, to be fair and objective and, consistent about my criticisms of both figures, okay? But it's very interesting. It's very interesting because most Trump supporters out there had no problem when I criticized Trump for the right reasons, right? You go look at the comment section of my Kevin McCarthy videos. It's Vince, I agree. Vince, I agree. So true. I'm not happy with Trump. Yet you guys are the ones who always call our campaign the cultist, which is not to say that there's not cult-like behavior in the Trump campaign. I'm not saying that's not true at all. I'm just saying I so often notice this, okay? I will go out and criticize Trump for a lot of different stuff, including especially the people he surrounds himself with and endorses, which I still have criticisms of to this day, right? And most Trump people will say, Vince, I agree. Vince, I agree. But it's only when I do the same to Ron DeSantis and say, hey, objectively, what we saw last night was not the best look. I just get the most unhinged, emotional attacks from the DeSantis crowd, and suddenly that's all they see. Why do you only criticize DeSantis? Why do you only spend so much time criticizing DeSantis when, that is just not absolutely the case at all? So with that said, I will reiterate one more time. In a serious, objective sense, and again, this does not mean I don't criticize Trump, but what we saw last night in terms of that Twitter space was not a good look for Ron DeSantis. Excuse me. congested here, okay? Anyways, again, that was not a good look for Ron DeSantis. And I laid out the specific reasons why, okay? You didn't hear me just saying, oh, he's meatball Ron. I said the technical problems in the beginning were a serious blunder. It was not a good look. It was all people are going to make fun of. And on top of that, you can say, well, that's not his fault. Sure, but it was his choice to do the Twitter space to begin with. And I also thought even further, if you want to look, put aside the technical issues, I just don't think the format, even without technical problems, of only announcing your presidential campaign in a audio-only Twitter space with no video at all, whereas the traditional, normal way to do that is in an in-person rally and kind of all that grandeur and stuff. I said even before the Twitter space happened, I did not think that was a good look. I did not think that was good optics, right? And, you can add stuff to that on top, the fact that he was basically reading off a script for his opening statement when it was something that was supposed to be controversial. I also brought up he does not have the sort of charisma or magnetic personality of Trump. And so I said, objectively, for reasons I could logically lay out and defend, I didn't think it was the best optics visually as an event, right? Now, I did say, in fairness to Ron DeSantis, I also said this. I said that I did think his messaging, the actual things he was saying, I did not think it was bad at all. I said that his messaging was good. I said it was pretty solid. But what did I also say? I said that it was not revolutionary enough, right? And this was my analysis of it. He's running way too safe of a campaign rhetorically, right? He's just going out there and saying, we're going to fight the woke, all good stuff. But when you're 30 points behind, and I said this last night, when you are not the front runner, when you're 30 points behind and kind of trying to overthrow a very powerful front runner, it's not enough to just kind of say, I'm a conservative, good old boy stuff and just decent, right? No, you have to be revolutionary, right? He has to come on and really swing for the fences and say, Donald Trump failed you. I'm the true conservative. I'm the true conservative who goes after woke capital, all that stuff, really stress that stuff. And even as our DeSantis panelist said last night, he just didn't really do that, right? He's running a very safe campaign in terms of messaging, trying to ignore Donald Trump and stuff. And that's just not going to work, right? Objectively, from a political standpoint, that is not going to work. And, frankly, instead of getting mad at me for pointing these things out, again, as a political commentator, as someone who is analyzing the situation, DeSantis crowd, maybe you should actually be taking my advice. Because actually, I think the things I'm saying are genuinely good advice. And even our DeSantis panelist last night 100% agreed, right? He needs to be using more revolutionary messaging, right? He needs to really kind of drawing more of a wedge between himself and Trump and saying, Trump is the guy who failed you. I'm the true conservative, this and that. And, the Twitter space is not a good look. He needs to be doing real in-person events, right? How about this, DeSantis people? How about instead of getting mad at me for analyzing it and actually saying, well, if I were DeSantis, this is what I would do. How about you actually take the advice? Huh? Because it would be good advice objectively for your campaign. You would do a lot better if you actually listen to the things I was just saying as analysis. Oh, but you can't, because as much as you want to call me a Trump cultist for objectively analyzing the situation and giving my fair and honest opinion, you can't take any criticism. That's what it is, okay? That's what it is. So many of you in the DeSantis camp cannot take criticism. That's what it's about. I can take criticism. I know DeSantis supporters, like the panelist that we bring on, right? Gen Z right-winger. He's cool. We get along. But for all of the talk I hear about Trump cult, and don't get me wrong, that does exist. But I also acknowledge that. It's you who can't acknowledge the reverse, okay? It is cult-like behavior, frankly, to look at what that was last night and not in any way be able to say, I don't know if that was the best look. He can still be your guy. I'm not saying that a shoddy start discredits him. If he's your candidate, he's your candidate. But don't get mad at me for objectively analyzing the situation as a commentator, okay? You should be getting mad at your guy. And also, on top of this, you can get mad at the Trump crowd or the commentary people, whatever, for just pointing out, hey, that was kind of a, what are they saying? Disaster, right? But, hypothetically, your guy is supposed to ultimately take on Joe Biden. Do you understand that? Okay? Do you understand that? And what we saw last night, not only is it not going to beat Donald Trump, I'm not saying he can't fix the show, but what we saw last night, not only is that not going to beat Donald Trump, that is not going to beat Joe Biden. Okay? And guess what? You think the Trump people are nasty? You think the Trump people are piling on? Wait until Ron DeSantis actually is the target of liberal news media and of Joe Biden and of the Democrats. Okay? You think the Trump people are bad? See what happens there. So you better get used to either like understanding, hey, we need to kind of get our act together here as a campaign, or do it or something, okay? But getting mad at me on Twitter for being a very actually objective analyst about the situation is not the answer. Now, on that front, before you go and say, no, you are a Trump cultist, Vince. No, you are a Trump cultist. Let's get into that then, okay? Let's talk about Donald Trump's response to Ron DeSantis. Just like I do with DeSantis, I will break this down fairly and honestly and try to be morally consistent about it, okay? Yes, I have my opinions, but I'm going to try to stay consistent about it, right? But the DeSantis people are not, they're just going to shut off. Can't hear you. La, la, la. You only criticize DeSantis. La, la, la. Okay, well, let's get into this then, okay? Donald Trump's response to last night and to Ron DeSantis. Okay, so there's one thing he did that I thought was good and hilarious, and the other that was absolutely awful. And I think this is not the way to attack Ron DeSantis. He said that? Yeah, I know. It's almost like I'm fair about the situation, right? But here you go. Let's start, though, with the funny one. This was Donald Trump's kind of meme that he posted in response to the DeSantis town hall. I mean, Twitter town hall, I should say. Here you go.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Ron DeSantis Twitter space.
Hello? Is my microphone working correctly?
George, can you just wait while we...
Hello? Can you hear me?
We can all hear you, George. Can you just hold on for a second?
Hilfa, I don't think they can hear me.
I can hear you fine, George. Just speak to the
I don't think George knows how to use Twitter.
Hello? Can you hear me now?
Can I please make my big announcement now? Everyone just...
Hello?
Just shut up, George.
Can somebody just mute George?
Dick, could you try not to cough on the...
This is real.
Okay, so how are we going to take out Trump, you guys?
Guys...
As you can see, he has Elon Musk, Ron DeSantis, and then George Soros, Klaus Schwab, Dick Cheney, Adolf Hitler, the devil, and the FBI. Okay, so this is the meme he posted.
From the FBI. This is not a private call. This is a public Twitter space. Everyone can listen in.
And I will say, like I said, this was funny. This was hilarious. If you don't think this was funny, again, I saw the DeSantis people just melting down. He's unhinged. He lost his mind. That's called Trump derangement syndrome. Because this is objectively funny, okay? This is objectively funny.
God damn it.
And this is like vintage Donald Trump, okay?
Anyway, guys, we invited everyone to this this Twitter space so Governor Ron DeSantis could...
Everyone just shut the hell up so I can make my announcement, okay?
You go, girl.
Wait, the devil is gay?
So what? Everyone in this call is gay. I happen to know every single one of you has a secret gay lover hidden in your closet.
Führer, ich kann nicht zulassen, dass die Soldaten, die für Sie
Guys, can we please just calm down?
So anyway, guys, I just wanted to announce that I'm...
Okay, I can hear the governor very well.
Shut up,
Would you please shut up already? I'm running for fucking president, okay?
Yeah, we kind of already knew about it.
Know, Governor.
Congratulations, Governor.
Well, that concludes our Twitter space for today. Thank you to all of our...
Hold your horses, Elon. The real president is going to say a few words. The devil, I'm going to kick your ass very soon. Hitler, you're already dead. Dick Cheney, sounds like you'll be joining Hitler very soon. Klaus Schwab and George Soros, I'm putting both your asses in jail. And Ron DeSanctimonious can kiss my big, beautiful 2024 presidential ass. Trump 2024, baby. Let's go.
So that was hilarious, right? Fully endorse, fully support. Classic Trump. I haven't seen him share really funny memes since like the Carpe Donktum days. So we're back, chat. We are so back. Okay. But I thought that was funny. I thought that was good memeing. I thought that was a little bit of banter. And honestly, Ron DeSantis crowd, okay? If your head wasn't up your blank, I'm talking about the people on Twitter more so than the people on YouTube. The people on Twitter, you'd find that funny too, instead of just being like, he's so unhinged, blah, blah, blah. Trump derangement syndrome, you sound exactly like a liberal in 2019. Okay, you sound exactly like a resist lib who also got mad at Donald Trump's memes, okay? And frankly, I just do not think that either side should be using leftist talking points or leftist attitudes towards each other. Okay? And freaking out over a meme is exactly that. I'm sorry, I hate to say it. With that said, I will point out some Donald Trump messaging, since people think I'm so unfair, that I do not agree with. Okay? Because like I just said, believe it or not, Vince Dow is morally consistent. Like I just said, I do not think that either Republican candidate should be using leftist arguments or attitudes against each other. And so in the same sense that I don't want to hear constant resist lib talking points from 2019, I don't like to hear this either. Take a look here.
When the Ron DeSanctimonious facts come out, you will see that he's better than most Democrat governors, but very average at best compared to Republican governors who have done a fantastic job.
One of the greatest governors in our country, and I know a lot of good ones, and I can tell you that.
Sorry, it's like, it's a montage that's like contrasted because they're trying to, oh, he's a hypocrite. Okay, I just took the clip, but here you go.
Tell you there's some really bad ones too, but this is a great one. Governor Ron DeSantis.
How about the fact that he had the third most deaths of any state having to do with the China virus or COVID?
Governor's done a great job. Florida is down low.
Everything, including the beaches. Other Republican governors didn't do that.
And you're open and you didn't close, and it's just amazing, right? It's great.
Perfect.
So anyways, you get the point. The big thing in there, you got to mock Ron DeSantis for saying he had the third most COVID deaths. That's silly, right? That's a leftist talking point. Oh, he was killing people by not being. Now, you could point out, it is fair to perhaps say, well, he says he was anti-lockdown, but there's more to the story there. I mean, fine, fair enough. But yeah, I don't like to see Donald Trump trying to bring up a leftist talking point like COVID deaths. I mean, are you serious, right? I don't like that either. I don't think that's effective. I think people look at that and are like, well, I like more Ron DeSantis more than that now. And by the way, even, third most, well, he's also, one of the bigger states, very big elderly population, right? We understand this. I don't have to make the defense there. But again, I don't think that's good either, okay? So let me conclude with saying this. All right, let me explain how you will hear the 2024 primary covered on this channel. You can like it, you can hate it, but this is how it's going to be. A, I do have my biases, I have my opinions, but I will praise and criticize both candidates for doing good or bad things. That's number one, okay? Because I don't think it helps my candidate, Donald Trump, for me to just not point out the things I see wrong, okay? We're collectively here trying to make a candidate and ultimately the party better. That's number one. Number two, I do not endorse on either side. And unlike the DeSantis camp, I acknowledge it's on both sides, okay? I do not endorse or support leftist arguments being used against the other candidate, okay? So I do not support freaking this just resist lib nonsense. Donald Blump is the orange man. You sound ridiculous. You sound just like Jeff Tiedrick on Twitter, half of you guys, okay? I don't endorse that, nor do I endorse, right, the Trump camp saying something like, I mean, you saw that video today, right? They called Ron DeSantis racist. Yeah, that's just stupid, okay? I don't support that. I don't support Trump people saying that he shouldn't have gone after Disney when he absolutely should have. I don't support Trump people saying, well, he has a lot of COVID deaths. That's just silly, right? So, and ultimately, what we want and need to be doing here is pushing either candidate to the right. That's what I want to see of this primary, because you have two political candidates here who are fairly solid on the issues, okay? So the ideal situation is an ironing, sharpening iron, right? Both candidates get pushed to the right. In order to push both Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis to the political right, which is what I want to see as a hardcore conservative, it does us no good, right, to use leftist talking points against each other. And so I will call that out where I see it on both sides, right? And I honestly, like I said, I think most people understand this. I think most Trump people, as much as they want to call us a cult, I think most Trump people will say, I don't like that either, right? And honestly, I think there's a lot of DeSantis supporters in the real world who are fair about this. But the bots on Twitter or whatever they are, just a bunch of clowns, all of you, okay? You're just bad faith morons, and hypocrites and all the names, okay? If you want to argue with me, you want to give me a hard time, then at least be honest about it. You know, don't spread lies about the things I do or don't say. Just saying. Okay, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we will go to Super Chats here for about 20 minutes, and then I will call it a night here. So, let's check out these Super Chats. Again, questions or comments that you want read and answered while we're still trying to raise money here for the podcast studio fund. It's all greatly appreciated. Here we go. Abby Zhang for $20 says, hope your day is well. What do you think of Respect Your Gun Month? Is that June? What is Respect Your Gun Month? I've never heard of that. Thank you for the $20, by the way. My day is going decently, but I am congested here, so. All right. Slightly better. What I think of Respect Your... I don't know what that is. I just looked it up, and are you proposing that we replace Pride Month with that? Because I think that's fine. Although, you know, we really should just replace Pride Month with, like, Family Month. Like celebrate mothers and fathers and the people who actually procreate and, you know, contribute the future of society to our society. That's what I would replace it with. When we take power, we're going to replace Pride Month with Family Month, okay? And we're going to celebrate mothers, fathers, children. It works because it kind of falls in between Mother's Day and Father's Day. That's what we'll do. And all the moms who have like 4+ kids, we're going to celebrate them. We're going to have a parade for them, okay? That's what we're going to do, okay? And all the fathers who stayed, that's who we're going to honor. And really, when you think about it, that deserves honoring, right? And yet instead we celebrate the one kind of class of people in society who are not reproducing, right? Who the function of their identity literally cannot further civilization or humanity or society, right? If 100% of the population were gay, we'd die off in a generation. Heck, 50%, right? And yet we have an entire month dedicated to celebrating them, of all people, you know? Why? Why should the pride be about that? I don't think it should. I think the pride, quote unquote, should be in the people who do the opposite of that. The people who procreate. I mean, as much as we joke, there should be a straight Pride Month. Unironically, there should be a like family month where we celebrate the people who have children and raise those children. Okay, because anal sex, sodomy, and whatever else they get up to is not furthering human civilization. Natural sex in the context of marriage and family is doing that, okay? So, like, unironically, one is more deserving of celebration than the other. But anyways, thank you for the $20, Abby. God bless you. Rowley for $2 says, check the Target stock. White pill. Let's keep it up. 07. Thank you for the $2. Let's look at the Target stock right now. Wow. Look at that, chat. Hold on. I have it on my laptop here. Let me show you guys. Look at this. Can you even see it? Okay, you're not even be able to see it. All right, Google it yourself. It's down. It's way down. Thanks for the $2. Again, you guys want to support the show. Questions, comments you want read and answered. Super chats are open here. Daniel McQuaid for $6.99 Canadian says, can we please listen to John Doyle's George Floyd conservative song before we end the stream? He is the face of the modern conservative movement. Thank you for the $6.99 Canadian, Daniel McQuaid. We'll do it on the members block, which we might do a members block tonight. I was gonna, but my voice hurts. So I don't know if we're going to make it. I might need to get some water. Okay, but we're contemplating. Okay. But thank you for the $6.99 Canadian, Daniel. I appreciate it very much. Dude, my voice is suffering. Do I have any... Look, I ran out of water. It's 1984. Again, I blame Ron DeSantis, okay? This is Ron DeSanctimonious' fault. He's dehydrated. The voice is hurting. It's just Jover. Its definition has never been more Jover than it is right now. Do I have anything? I have a Celsius. That's probably bad. I shouldn't drink caffeine this late. My voice needs it. My goodness. You know what it was? It was that rant about the police. I was just going off. I was going off so hard that my voice died. Unironically. Can we get a like in the stream and super chats for the voice? Okay? Rumor has it if we hit $100 in super chats, which we are 15 away, my voice will magically come back. How does that work? It just does. It just does. You know? It's struggling because it's like, need super chat. Vince, you're just grifting. No, it's science. You don't know that? You don't know that. You guys have never heard about how $100 in super chats actually fixes your voice. You've never heard this. It sounds like a you problem, okay? I'm sorry for being scientifically illiterate. I know we're all a bunch of science deniers, but I know real science when I see it, okay? I know real science when I see it, and that's real science. That's real and true science. Make cups full again. Yeah, so true. So true. Take a rest. I don't want to. We haven't done a members block all week. But yeah, we might do one tomorrow, though. Maybe when the podcast setup is ready. Because I do want to do that. I do want to do a test stream from the podcast studio for the members so you guys can see what we're working on. Because nobody thinks it's real. They all think the podcast, I'm just talking, I'm just trying to raise money. No, it's real. It's real. I will show you guys maybe tomorrow, okay? Don't question the science. Yeah, this is true. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I missed the dollar for dollar super chat earlier. Dollar for $2 says, if I buy LSU versus UF tickets next year, would you come? I may be going anyway, but yes, I would dollar for dollar. So check that out. Check that out, okay? Where are you coming from? Texas, I think, right? Houston. So that's like, what, 3 hours for you? Yeah, I might go to that game next year. If I don't have any tests or whatever, then I'll go, okay? So let's meet up. Let's meet up. But really, first and foremost, I want to go to the Florida-Georgia game. Because the Florida-Georgia game is, it truly is like the most right-wing event in all of sports, okay? And if you've never been, you won't know. It just is, okay? All the rednecks of Georgia and Florida come together and have the biggest outdoor tailgate ever. And, you know, you see a ton of certain flags that I probably shouldn't mention for the YouTubes. Okay, the whole thing is epic. Okay. If you're into football and you want a sporting event on your bucket list, I'm telling you, the Florida-Georgia game, okay? They call it the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. It is truly among the best. It is truly among the best. Again, you guys want to super chat to support the show, questions or comments, we are open here. Chesscom Support now claims that he's a guy. I swear I saw you before saying you're a girl, Chesscom Support. I think you're psyoping, okay? I think you're psyoping. Because I don't remember anything wrong ever. Which means I think you just lied to me at some point. This must be the case. It certainly couldn't have been that I just forgot. It just never happens. Never happens. Adam Becker says, Vince, live stream with Red Eagle and John on the KGB show for the Republican primaries. Could this happen? I mean, I don't live in Texas, so I mean, I guess, maybe, possibly, but I mean, I'm in Florida. That's part of the problem. They're all is close to each other, so they could do it, but I don't think I would ever have to be there. I mean, I could call in, we could merge streams briefly, but you know, I don't know if technically speaking that's going to be possible. Dude, my voice hurts. My voice hurts. We're struggling. 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes, chat. Just kidding. I'm boycotting Bud Light. I went to Target for swimwear. See, Chesscom Support, something's going on there. Okay? That's why. That Chesscom Support is transgender. That's why. Okay? That's why I was like, that's a girl. Now it's a guy. Well, you shop at Target for swimwear. So what do you expect? That's exactly what's happening. Vindicated. Vince-dicated, okay? No, you're misgendering Chesscom Support. Clearly not. Clearly I was actually right. Am I now being pressured to transition? Nobody's pressuring you to transition. You just did. You just did. You just did transition, okay? You're a transformer now. You're straight sus? Yeah, exactly. 100% straight sus. 1000% straight sus, okay? Chesscom support, why have you done this? We talk all the time about the Transformers, about the Decepticons, only to find out that it was you all along. You were the Decepticon. Unbelievable. That was taken out of context. I don't care. I don't care. Have you not heard from the Ron DeSantis people on Twitter? I'm bad faith. Everything I take is out of context, isn't it? So, this is just how it is. I hate to tell you. I hate to say it. Hate to say it. All right, let's see. 8 minutes here. Last call for super chats. Anything you want to send it in now. If not, I will find something to talk about. Let's go on Twitter. Let's see what's happening. Let's see. I hear a Twitter space right now. Trump versus DeSantis. Who will win? From Ian Miles Chong. Should we tune in, chat? Should we tune in? I don't know. Let's see what's trending. Kanye is trending. What's going on there? Oh, Kanye West and his new wife Bianca Censori were spotted out on another date. That's not him. What the heck happened to Kanye? Dude, that is not Kanye. What the heck? Can I show it on the stream? But you guys can't see because the stupid screen's being weird. Hold on. Look at this. Do you guys see? That's not him. Did he get like plastic surgery done? Oh, no, I think... Okay, he shaved his eyebrows off, chat. Kanye West shaved his eyebrows off. And for some reason, his wife, quote unquote, his new wife, Bianca, she's like wearing a hijab or whatever this is, but it's not really a hijab. It just looks like underwear. She just has underwear on her face and gonna cover here. But you can see the nips. Okay, you can see the nips. And apparently this is, I don't know, Christian futurism, as they call it. Don't you know, bro, Kanye West is red-pilled and America first and all that. Clearly not, Like, I don't hate the guy. I don't hate his music, but this guy is going to run for president and bring God back into American politics? Come on. What is going on? Dude, like, he looks so screwed up. Someone says he looks like Minecraft Steve. Yeah, I don't know what is his deal? Okay, if you guys are curious, chat, after this stream, go look up the recent pictures of Kanye West. Doppelganger. Yeah, unironically, they assassinated him and that's his doppelganger. Like, that's what it looks like. Where are his eyebrows? What the heck is going on? Just insane, dude. Yeah, people are saying he got cloned or something. I mean, I would believe it. I don't know what's going on there. So, I don't know. We wish him the best, genuinely. Clearly hopefully he's alive and not a clone. But, yeah, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. People are pointing out that his new wife looks like Pete Davidson, which is actually hilarious and kind of funny. But yeah, there you go. There's Kanye. Replaced with a clone. You hate to see it. I would believe it. I mean, look at this thing. That's not Kanye West, dude. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. She's literally a discount Kim K. Yeah. Yeah. Whatever. He needs more God and some serious mental help. I agree. And look, like, it's cool. Like, I should say it was cool for a time when Kanye was, like, embracing, Trump and all that. But the guy's always been a little bit, And I understand that's exaggerated because of political reasons. But, I mean, to pretend like this guy has no screws loose... He absolutely does. And maybe, he's an artist, of course, fine. But let's just, like, acknowledge that, Did you not hear everyone who said like Kanye 2020, he's such a genius? Did you hear his 2020 announcement speech? And I liked Kanye at the time. I was trying to make it make sense. And he's just all over the place, okay? Yeah, recently now, yeah, well, obviously we know the Balenciaga mask and he's screaming about Hitler because he was mad at Pete Davidson. Yeah, that speaks for itself. But even before that, listen to his 2020 birthday party announcement speech. That didn't make a lot of sense either. He's a bit all over the place there either, too. You know, Ye East 24. Yeah, he's Kanye East, okay? That's Kanye East there. So real. Vince Dow, what are you going to do for episode 50 of the Vince Dow Show? I have no idea. What should we do? What episode are we on now? 48, right? Tonight's 48. Is it? It is 48. Okay. So episode 50 would be on Memorial Day, but I might just take Memorial Day off because I need a break. I'm not going to lie. I need a break. Okay. You can hear the voice not making it. Kind of burnt out of this stuff, honestly, if I were to be totally real. But then again, like episode 50 on Memorial Day could be a good idea. I don't know. Should we could do like a mega stream. We could do like a 5-hour stream or something. I don't know. All right, guys, but if there are no more super chats here, I'm going to call it a night here because my voice is just dead, okay? Can you hear the rasp? It's like, literally the case. Oh, one last thing. Actually, before we do that, one last thing. Okay. In relations to this podcast, I'm looking for all types of people to come on, obviously. But listen, here's the reality. I know a lot of people will be like, put me on the show. There's going to be a long backlog of conservatives already. But what I will say is this. If you fit in any of the following camps or know people who do, we might be interested either on this show with like, because I want to start doing like virtual debates or casts or whatever. But then also if you're in, Central Florida area, the regular, like the podcast we plan to do. So let me know if you apply. Actually, if you're just in the Central Florida area, kind of Orlando, Jacksonville, that sort of triangle there, let me know. Tampa, whatever. But we're looking specifically. First of all, I just need liberals and leftists. I know those are going to be the hardest to find. But if you have a cousin who's like crazy and loves to talk politics, hey, let's do it, right? Cousin, friends, whatever, people. Maybe you're one of the liberals who watches this show for some reason. I don't know if those exist, but if you do, we need people, okay? Both locally and just nationally, because I do want to do some like virtual stuff too, right? So that front, we need feminists, which maybe we could get some from the right wing there, because I need people who disagree with me on the stay-at-home mom stuff and all that stuff. We need feminists. We need centrists. We need libertarians. We need DeSantis supporters. We need anyone who like disagrees with me on anything, right? Because I want to start setting that up. So if that applies, or someone, whatever, email vince@vincedao.tv, okay? vince@vincedao.tv. So that way we can start, because I want to, get that going, soon, eventually, whatever. So again, vince@vincedao.tv. If you are just a conservative and you want to be on the show, I'll consider it, right? But what I will say is, like, there's a lot of you asking, is what I'll say. So you gotta like pitch to me somehow, right? So let's say if you are a content creator, obviously, and you're like, hey, I have this channel, 5,000 subs, whatever, I'm just a startup, then yeah, I'll be like, okay, I see a track record for you, I see your demo reel, okay, I'll bring you on the show. So if you have something like that, or you're just like really smart, or that, whatever, then I'll consider it. So, just feel free to email regardless. But just saying, conservatives, that's not really what we're looking for, because it's so easy to get conservatives on the show, right? So unless you really stand out on that front, truthfully. But again, if there's like things you disagree with me on, and especially any liberals, leftists, feminists, libertarians, whatever, that's really what we're looking for. So again, vince@vincedao.tv if interested, or someone, or whatever it is. Chesscom Support says you should invite Zayed. I don't think he would come on, but it would be quite fun. A Friendly Medic says, get Beedson Beadley on the show. Imagine the content. Weed? Thank you for the $5, A Friendly Medic. But no, he's just gonna be like, no. The problem is, it would be content for you guys, right? The A-logs. But, you know, this is kind of like I have a very mainstream audience. They just be like, who is this fool, right? So, you know, no. Real, we're gonna beat it up live. All right, anyways, with that said, just letting you know on that front, thank you for the $5. All right, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you to everyone who tuned in tonight. Be sure to leave a like on the stream before you go. And until next time, Alpha moves only. God bless. See you guys tomorrow night here at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And peace. Dirty Mike says, this is the second time I was charged for a super chat that didn't show. Well, I don't think you were charged because I don't see it in my, like, money count either. Dirty Mike. Have you tried the Streamlabs link? You could try it through there. Or you could just send it to me on Cash App if you want. Because I know you say this all the time. YouTube just blocks your super chats. So, Streamlabs if you want. All right, with that said, see you guys later. Alpha moves only. God bless. Have a very good night. And peace.